Hey there, and welcome to Echoes of Age. This is the place where we talk real stuff about getting older, in a way that helps you feel stronger, stay sharper, and live better every single day. We're diving into the things no one really talks about when it comes to aging, but should. Let's jump in, Ted.
Have you ever woken up one morning, no alarm clock buzzing, no meetings on the calendar, no deadlines waiting, and instead of feeling free, you felt strangely empty? For decades, your life revolved around being needed, at work, by colleagues, by responsibilities. And then suddenly it stops. Retirement is often painted as a golden season, a long-awaited reward for years of hard work. The magazines show smiling couples on the beach, people golfing or traveling the world. But for many, the reality is far different. Behind the smiles, there's a silent question echoing, who am I now, without the title, without the role, without the busy schedule that once gave me purpose? This story isn't just about one man, it's about anyone who has ever felt invisible after the end of a career. It's about rediscovering meaning when the world no longer measures your worth by productivity. And it's about learning that purpose doesn't retire, even if we do. Today, you'll walk alongside the journey of a man who thought retirement meant the end of relevance, only to find it was the beginning of something deeper, richer, and more authentic. His struggles, doubts, and breakthroughs hold a mirror to the very questions we all face as we age. Stay with me until the end, because by the close of this story, you'll see how even when the world tells us our best years are behind us, the truth is, they might just be ahead. His name was Michael. For 40 years, he worked as an architect. His days were filled with blueprints, deadlines, and the quiet satisfaction of watching his designs turn into buildings that would outlive him. Colleagues sought his advice. Younger employees admired his skill. His phone never stopped ringing. Michael wore his role like a second skin. It wasn't just his career, it was his identity. He wasn't simply Michael. He was Mr. Carter, the architect. People respected him, needed him, even envied him. And deep down, that respect fed him more than he realized. Then came the retirement party. Smiles, speeches, a gold watch, a cake decorated with the words, "Enjoy your next chapter." Everyone clapped, hugged him, wished him well. And the next morning, the phone stopped ringing. The emails disappeared. The world moved on. And for the first time in decades, Michael sat alone with silence. At first, it felt like a vacation. He woke up late, read the paper slowly, lingered over coffee. But after a few weeks, the quiet no longer felt restful. It felt heavy. Days blurred together. He found himself wandering the house, unsure what to do with the hours stretching endlessly ahead. He tried golf. He hated it. He tried fixing things around the house, but once the chores were done, they didn't fill the void. His wife noticed the change, how restless he became, how easily irritated he was. He started watching too much television, scrolling endlessly through old memories, feeling a dull ache in his chest every time he thought, "Is this it? Is this all that's left?" The truth was simple but devastating. Michael had spent so much of his life being needed that he didn't know how to be simply himself. And in retirement, when no one was calling on him, he felt invisible. Michael began to notice something unsettling. It wasn't just boredom, it was a creeping sense of uselessness. He'd look in the mirror and see not the confident architect who once commanded respect, but an aging man with no clear role to play. One afternoon, while sorting through old project photos, he caught himself whispering, "I used to matter." The words stung. They echoed through the empty room, heavier than he expected. He realized he had measured his entire worth by the work he did. Without it, he felt like a shadow of himself. The world seemed to confirm his fears. At family gatherings, his adult children talked about their busy jobs, their deadlines, their promotions. They loved him dearly, but he noticed how quickly conversations passed over him, as if retirement had made him less interesting, less relevant. When friends asked, "So, what are you up to these days?" he laughed it off with a vague answer, but inside, it felt like a knife. Even his health began to reflect the void. The weight he used to carry with ease now tired him. His posture slouched. Nights felt long and restless. He wasn't ill, not in the traditional sense, but his spirit was withering and his body followed. Worst of all was the silence. At work, his phone had buzzed constantly. Every problem seemed to need his input. Now, days went by with barely a call. The stillness of his house seemed to mock him. He found himself turning on the television just to drown out the sound of his own thoughts. He tried to fight it. He signed up for a community class, but he felt out of place among strangers who didn't know him as the architect. He offered to help his children with small tasks, but they brushed him off kindly, not wanting to burden him. With each attempt, the same thought circled back: I am no longer needed. Michael was not alone in this struggle, though he didn't realize it. Many who retire find themselves wrestling with the same invisible enemy, the loss of identity. Society celebrates youth, ambition, productivity. But it rarely teaches us how to live with purpose once those roles are stripped away. The irony was bitter. He had waited for retirement like a finish line. But standing there now, he felt less like a champion and more like someone who had been quietly erased. One evening, after another long and empty day, Michael found himself in his study, staring at shelves lined with books he hadn't touched in years. His eyes fell on an old leather journal, the kind he used to carry during his early career. He opened it, and inside were sketches from his 20s, dreams, notes, bold ideas he once believed could change the world. Flipping through those yellowed pages, Michael realized something striking. Back then, before anyone paid him, before anyone praised him, he worked not for approval but out of sheer passion. He loved to create, to imagine, to build. That passion was still inside him. It had only been buried beneath decades of responsibility. That night, he wrote one simple sentence on the last page of the journal: "Purpose doesn't end with a job." The words felt almost foreign, yet liberating. For the first time in months, he felt a flicker of energy, a quiet whisper that maybe he wasn't done yet. The very next morning, he took a small step. Not a grand one, just a small one. He called the local community center and asked if they needed volunteers. To his surprise, they did. They were running an after-school program for teens interested in design and didn't have enough mentors. Michael hesitated, but something in him said, "Try." That first session was awkward. The students were noisy, distracted, glued to their phones. Michael stumbled through introductions. But then one boy pulled out a sketchbook and shyly showed a rough drawing of a bridge. Michael leaned forward, asked a few questions, and before he knew it, the room was quiet, every student listening to him explain how even the grandest structures begin with a simple line on paper. Walking home that evening, he felt something he hadn't felt in years: alive. Not because he was back in control, not because he was important again, but because he was sharing what he loved. He wasn't building skyscrapers anymore, he was building confidence in young minds. And that, he realized, was a foundation more lasting than steel or stone. That small moment became a turning point. Purpose, he discovered, was not something lost at retirement. It was something waiting to be reimagined. From that day forward, Michael's life began to shift, slowly but steadily. He kept volunteering at the community center, mentoring students and watching their confidence grow. Each small success reminded him that his knowledge, experience, and guidance still mattered, just in ways different from before. He also began exploring hobbies he had abandoned decades ago. Watercolor painting, which he had always loved but never pursued seriously, became a daily ritual. The first strokes were clumsy, the colors uncertain, but over time, his confidence returned. The act of creating for himself, without the pressure of deadlines or critics, felt liberating. Michael reconnected with old friends, those he had lost touch with during the years of career obsession. They met for coffee, shared stories, and laughed over memories that reminded him of who he had been. These connections weren't just social, they were affirmations that he still had a place, a role, a voice. He also discovered that teaching and guiding others didn't just benefit the students, it revitalized him. Watching a young artist's eyes light up after mastering a technique reminded him of the joy of learning itself. He felt needed, yes, but in a way that nourished his spirit rather than drained it. Over months, Michael noticed a profound internal change. The heavy emptiness that had clouded his mornings dissipated. He woke with intention, not obligation. He realized that the end he had feared was, in truth, a beginning. Retirement wasn't a finish line. It was a canvas, blank and vast, inviting him to paint anew. Even his physical health improved. Walks with students and friends, painting outdoors, and a renewed sense of purpose gave him energy he hadn't felt in years. His posture straightened. He laughed more easily. His mind, once dulled by monotony, now buzzed with ideas, not blueprints for buildings, but for projects, adventures, and personal growth. Michael came to understand a fundamental truth. Purpose is not tied to a job, a paycheck, or public recognition. It is found in the act of contributing, of connecting, of pursuing passions that enrich both oneself and others. And in that understanding, he discovered freedom. Freedom from self-doubt, from waiting for approval, and from the fear that his life had ended the day he left his office. Months turned into a year, and Michael's life had transformed in ways he never expected. He no longer measured his value by what he built in the office or the approval of superiors. Instead, he measured it by the lives he touched, the creativity he nurtured, and the joy he found in his daily routines. He learned that retirement isn't about stepping back. It's about stepping into a new version of yourself. One that is not defined by past achievements but by present actions, by choices made from the heart, not for applause. Through his journey, there are 5 lessons that stand out for anyone navigating life after retirement. 1. Your value is intrinsic, not assigned. Titles, jobs, and accolades may fade, but your knowledge, kindness, and passions remain. Recognize your worth, even when the world seems to move on. 2. Small actions have lasting impact. Mentoring a single student, planting a garden, or sharing a story may seem minor, but these acts ripple outward, touching lives in ways you can't always see. 3. Purpose can be rediscovered at any age. Just because a chapter ends doesn't mean the story is over. Retirement is an opportunity to explore new passions, revisit old ones, and create meaning on your own terms. For connection fuels the soul. Whether through family, friends, or community, relationships provide perspective, joy, and a sense of belonging. Nurture them even if you feel hesitant at first. 5. Self-discovery is ongoing. Life after retirement isn't a pause, it's a journey. Embrace solitude, reflection, and creativity. You may find strengths, talents, and joys you never knew existed. Michael's story is a testament to the idea that aging is not a decline. It's a chance to live more authentically, more creatively, and more generously than ever before. His days are now full, not with the demands of a job, but with the richness of purpose, connection, and the joy of knowing that life's greatest chapters are sometimes the ones we write later. So, if you're approaching retirement or already there, remember this: your story isn't over. Your value isn't lost. And your purpose is waiting quietly for you to rediscover it. Take the first step today. Reach out, create, teach, explore. Because the best years are not behind you, they are unfolding right now.